Hey, welcome to this morning's morning walk. And today, I normally go to Jesus with some questions. And today, he came to me and he said, hey, Jesse, I want to tell you why the devil's a punk. A weak, shriveled punk. That's the words he used. Because recently, I've been talking to a lot of believers. And I don't have biblical reference for this. So if you do, you can let me know the biblical reference, if there is one. But a lot of the believers, including myself, believe that the devil is strong. Like I've heard people say, I've said this, other than God, the devil is the strongest person in the universe. Other than God, the second strongest person in the universe. I've heard that the world belongs to the devil. I've heard that the earth is a fighting ground between the devil and God. And, you know, devil wins sometimes. That's why people go to hell. And God wins most of the time. That's why people go to heaven. And it's like, dude, this guy is strong. And Jesus told me, he's like, you know, he's a punk. I'm like, what? Dude, but I think there's biblical references, you know. He used to be the right-hand angel of the Lord, you know. And Jesus said these three things. He said, well, let me tell you the number one. Number one, that the devil is a weak punk. He cannot make you do anything. He goes, if I put you and the devil in a boxing ring, dude, 30 seconds, that punk is down, dude. He's that weak. He's not physically, mentally, or emotionally any stronger than you. But what he is good at is the master manipulator. So if the devil wants to ruin your marriage, which he does, he's not gonna, he can't come in there and like get in the way or dress up like, you know, someone, you know, and manipulate in that fashion. He physically can't do it. What he will do is he will put porn into your life, and that will divide your marriage. What he will do is he'll put a third party into your life, and maybe that divides your marriage. If the devil wants you to take away your freedom, which he does, then what he'll do is he'll introduce environments filled with substance, maybe alcohol, drugs, things of that nature. If he wants you to spend the rest of your life in prison, he will put you in a situation where maybe pride gets you into a fight and you make a decision. But he physically cannot put you in jail. He physically cannot ruin your marriage. He physically cannot take away your freedom, but he can manipulate the environment to make you decide to do that. We have to make the decision to ruin those things. I'm like, wow, man, that's a pretty good point. So the second point is he is lazy. He goes, Jesus told me, he goes, Jesse, what are the things that you and Erica fight about? Write them out. I'm like, dude, well, I started to write, and I'm like, 1, 2, 1, 2. It's the same two things. The devil, when he sees Eric and I leveling up our faith or our fitness, but particularly our faith or whatever, finances, whatever, whenever he sees us leveling up, it's the same two fights for the last 5 years. And then I started to talk to other believers, and I'm like, what do you fight with your husband or wife about? And they're like, yeah, it's always the same thing. That's how lazy the devil is. He can't even think of anything new to distract us with. And it was so amazing. Yesterday, like, we came to that realization, literally. My wife and I came to the realization, Eric and I, and we literally looked at the devil and we're like, dude, you're lazy, man. You're a punk. And what happens when you have that awareness that the devil is lazy because you're fighting about, or maybe it's not a fight, maybe it's like, it's always finances. You know, you're always living out of scarcity. When you realize, you know what, the devil has been using scarcity the last 15 years. That's all he's got. I'm going to address the scarcity. So the second that we realize that it's the same thing that's holding us back, and that's coming from manipulation from the devil, he loses massive power. Like, he literally took his pitchfork, and put his tail between his legs and walked out. Now, that doesn't mean, just because we came to that realization, doesn't mean, oh, cool, we're devil free. No. He's going to send minions, and the next time we level up, he'll try the same two things. It won't work because we're so aware now. And maybe he will. Depending on how much you're leveling up, he might think of new things, but he's innately lazy. And evidence of that is it's always going to be the same things that are holding you back in life. Same mindset issues. If it's your marriage, it's going to be the same fight that recurs over and over and over. So those are the top two reasons, top two things that clearly show evidence that the devil is a weak punk. All right, he cannot make you do anything. He has to get your permission. You have to agree to do something for him to win. And he's going to use the same tactics over and over because he's a lazy punk. So he's going to use the same, if it's alcohol, like we talked about earlier, he's going to use the same things over and over. So continue your relationship with Jesus. Have these discussions with God. Continue to increase your awareness, and you will look at him, at the devil, and you'll be like, that's all you got, because he cannot physically hurt you. And you know what? He might look like a bad whatever, but he'll walk out with his tail between his legs and move on to somebody else. So, and it's our duty, responsibility, obligation as Christians to get this message out to people so that when he does move on to other people, they're like, I've heard this before. I've heard about you. Try it. No, I'm not going to be your low-lying fruit. You guys have an amazing, growth-driven rest of your day.